Welcome to the Opinionaire SHOWPOD with Marco James TruRu, aka Ruski. Created and hosted, produced by me. This pod is about unfiltered viewpoints, conversations shaped by real moments, rooted in experiences. Just trying to spark thought, challenge understanding, and give perspective. Opinionaire SHOWPOD, where opinions shaped by perspective and perspective is shaped by experience. Welcome to the show. You know what I'm saying? I feel good right now. With that being said, what's popping with my peoples? What's up?
What's poppin',
Poppin'. And we here. I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to just doing this thing. You feel me? I got here. It took a while to get here. First episode, and I've been wanting to create a pod, and I think I want to branch off into multiple different things, but I just wanted to be intentional about what I was creating. I see so many pods, and it's not a matter of comparison. It's just, and I got to stay true to me and what I want to create. And it's a lot of things that I'm interested in, that I like, that I vibrate with, because it's opinionaire, but I want to be, for my future and the plans that I have for myself. I just published 2 books, and I want to align what I put out with the things and my goals for the future. So I didn't really want to talk about sports. I really don't want to talk about relationships too much. What I really want to focus on with my pod is just internally, like the young male, the black male journey, his inner conflicts, solutions, perspective, experiences, and just how to navigate that path and just find yourself and do that in a way that don't compromise who you are in your core based off where you're from. Because I think that when I consume and absorb content, most of the people who successful and create content, they don't really look like me, or they conform and change and become something that's not relatable. Or they talk about things like relationships, they focus on girls, they focus on money, they focus on, and these things matter, and they are relevant, but it ain't no solution. And it's a lot of us out here. There's a lot of things going on out here that reflect the lack of the know of what the whole point is. Like, what's the point? We just out here just doing stuff. So this episode is about identity and how identity determines trajectory, and how that affects our behaviors, because behavior isn't random. And why? And the question that I want to ask is, why do some people keep repeating the same patterns even when they know better? And I think about my life. I done had 5 felonies. I done had bags, lost them, had bags, lost them, had bags, lost them. I done made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, to loss after loss after loss after loss. And I'm still blessed. And I'm blessed because for some strange odd reason, I got this battery that just keep on just turning up. I just want it. I want it so bad that, like, no matter what happened to me, I still like got this ambition and this drive to just pursue it at a high clip. So it's like, no matter how much I mess up, how many mistakes I make, I still go after it. But but as I observe, I'm like, man, everybody don't have that. Like, it seems like mistakes are more detrimental to others, and it tear people down more, and they expect to do so good, so bad, so much, that they never really. I mean, but let's face it, I mean, we got to be real. The system is designed that if you make a mistake, boy, it's hell getting out of it. Because I'm gonna tell you, my lowest points in my life was when I caught them felonies, and I got to that point where I wanted to mature and change, but I couldn't get there because I had felonies, and you gotta wait 5 or 7 years for that stuff to fall off your record, for you to be put in a position where you could actually start making income. Because if we're gonna be honest, this episode is about identity, but a part of being the identity of a man is being able to provide. So if you can't provide, how can you be a man? And where do your identity come from? Where do your identity come from? So the question yet again, why do some people keep repeating the same patterns even when they know better? So I want to say sometimes, I want to start by saying this. Sometimes we do what we have to do because that's the only option in that moment based off of prior choices that we made. Like as a black male, you make a mistake, boy, it's hell getting out the hole. So not only do you have to change and unlearn and relearn, but you have to like lower yourself to just climb back to ground level. You know what I mean? So it's a daunting task. And then I think of it like as a parent, you know, I expect my kids to learn and to know better and do better. But as a full-blown adult, I make mistakes and know better and don't always choose to do better. So I'm starting to learn to give grace, but we have to this particular topic is about establishing your identity early and then making better choices to put you on a trajectory and a path that you don't have to dig yourself out the hole. And it's as an older man from the community, I feel obligated to be like, bruh, I gotta make sure my son ain't doing that. But even still, if my son is changing and your son ain't changing and they in the same proximity or in the same, we gotta change, or we gotta move together because our sons need to be brothers and they need to be good men for our daughters. Like that's what it's supposed to be. And I like Game of Thrones. And one of the things that I like about Game of Thrones is like fathers, they betroth their daughters, meaning that they give their daughters to another man who probably is the son of a respectable man because they raise their sons to be respectable men and their daughters need to be with respectable men, providers, protectors, them fucking dudes. Like they them dudes. So that's the whole point. We need to live in reality. We need to build ourselves up so we be worthy and we could be like, I'm a fucking dude. I deserve a baddie. Like, that's what we want. We want to be kings, and it's enough kingdoms. It's enough daughters. But we got to reprogram our mind as the men to be like, bruh, and feel comfortable and okay with our daughters going and our sons being able to respect each other. Like, they can't even coexist because there's too much low vibrational shit going on. So this episode is identity. And could it be that the issue isn't behavior, but identity? And that behavior is a product of how we view ourselves. Meaning that if you view yourself as a young nigga, a YN, if you view yourself as a real nigga, if you view yourself as a YM, a young man, a OG, a shooter, a gentleman, then your behavior's going to reflect how you view yourself, which is your identity that you gave yourself. So essentially, based off how you view yourself, you can predict behaviors. Like you could predict the behavior of a person that call themselves a real nigga. You could predict the behaviors and actually how they dress, they talk based off of being a YN. So and that's an aesthetic as well as a mindset. And I think this conversation is just to open up the doors in the minds. But think about it. What actually determines how someone reacts in a situation or under pressure? It has to be how you view yourself. So if I think I'm laid back and something go on and the situation may cause for me to be intense, aggressive, volatile, but I'm laid back, I'll be laid back. But the same is reversed because if you a shooter or you got this YN mindset, a situation that might not even require you to react at a 10, you automatically take it there because that's what you want. And now you crashing your life out. And that's the issue. So the next question is, where does identity even come from in the first place? Where does identity come from in the first place? Where does identity come from in the first place? Environment installs identity. Like, how much of who we think we are was shaped by what we are surrounded by. And you know, one of my favorite books, The Four Agreements, And the reason that is the reason that is one of my favorite books is because I feel like it promotes accountability and self-awareness, and it put in perspective for me the fact that everything that went on around me in my life, I subscribed to and agreed with it without subconsciously. Like when you born, your parents give you a name. You grow up, you accept that name. You agree to it. The language that you speak. We speak English. We agree to that. We agree to the names, the titles, the direction, the structure of society. We agree to all these things. That's the same with your environment. So if your identity gets installed by the environment, when your identity gets installed by your environment, can it be changed? Well, I'm gonna tell you from me how my identity started. Like I alluded to, I got shot. I sold drugs from the time I was a teenager till I was 30 years old. I'm 39 years old. I had 5 felonies, 5 of them. My daughter was born when I was in prison. That's what changed. But I'm gonna go back to what started. So for me, when I initially, I remember being young, living in Madisonville, because I was a young bull. But I grew up in Kennedy Heights, Decay. But I remember because walking to the store, I will say, Neville, them niggas was getting money back. They was selling that crack, that hardball. And I remember a motherfucker getting shot outside, getting robbed, like outside my house. Like I was looking out the window, like I seen the whole thing for real. But I remember the motherfucker had the Odie on the feet, beautiful drop top Odie. I always told myself like I wanted that. I wanted one. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that he was a drug dealer. So for me, I always wanted to trap because from where I was sitting, the only person that had money to buy the car was a nigga who sold drugs. Because my mama was a single mother. She had me at 15, 4 kids at 21. She was an entrepreneur. She had the salon, but she was a mother. She was 4 kids. I don't know what my biological father was doing. He was a lame. You feel me? I don't know. He wasn't getting no real money. You feel me? Because he ain't never bought me nothing. So I ain't want to be like him. And I always knew, if anything, that was the type of nigga that I never wanted to be like. You feel me? Because I ain't never needed no shorty to be a man. I don't latch on to women. Like, I'm not doing that. I always have my own shit. I always get my own paper. So my environment influenced me to sell drugs because that was the things that I seen be successful. I never wanted to be no killer. I ain't never wanted to be no real nigga. I wanted that bag. Like, I wanted to be that nigga. You feel me? Like, and I always knew, like, money, the energy, the feeling of it, just riding with the drop down candy paint on the feet. Like, that's vibration. That's the vibration that I always was chasing. You know what I mean? But that's just an example of how things can influence you in your environment, and where you at and your proximity can influence what you become. Now, we got to talk about what changed it. Because if I'm going to be honest, I got expelled from school from the 4th grade till I dropped out of school. My mama, she moved, and we moved out of town to Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was one of the things that kind of changed and influenced me, because I had to relearn how to, because I was a terrible teenager. Going to stealing cars, breaking into cribs, going to 2020, and kicked out of schools, all that type of stuff. But me moving out there, it changed me. And it probably saved in my life. So I will say that was the first experience that I had to learn, like, okay, it's a different world out there. People are actually different. And I actually had to adapt, and like I changed to fit in that society, because even people that look like me acted different, because culturally, graphically, niggas in Cali act different from niggas in LA, even though they all niggas. You see what I'm saying? You going to New York, you being in New York, being the same nigga that you was in LA might get you killed, and you being the same nigga in LA that going to New York, it might get you killed. So you have to adapt to how a nigga is where you at. And in that, you see that niggas is different, even though we are niggas. And when I say that, it's just a mindset. Like, so that kind of showed me like, oh, you could be and be, but be different at the same time. So that was an influence. But fast forward after that, because that was when I was a teenager, because I was still broke back then. I ain't had no money. Like, I went to Job Corps, got my GED when I was 15 years old. I've been outside ever since. And I still always wanted money. But what really changed was when I started to get money, and I was able to create experiences and put myself in different environments because I had money, and I started to see that the shit that niggas was doing who I was around, they wasn't busting no different moves, and they was doing the same shit. I started to look at the mindset, and I started to look at it like it was lame, and niggas was lame. Honestly, if I'm gonna be 1,000% a buck, I started to identify the things that I thought was real nigga shit, I started to look at it like lame. Because why the fuck am I and then and on top of that, I started to see motherfuckers be successful and start buying the oldies with the feet on it without trapping. Like once you start seeing motherfuckers make money in different ways, it open your mind and say like, damn, I ain't got a trap to buy a fucking $300,000 house? Oh man, what am I doing? Why am I gonna keep risking? What is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to change about me that's making it so hard for me to be able to get this money? Because if we gonna be real, I'm a truck driver now. But when I go to these $300,000, $400,000 houses to drop off this stuff, this brick and stuff, all these cribs is owned by people who got jobs, not drug dealers. This is the reality that we don't seem to grasp. When you on a plane, all them seats, most of them seats is filled by white folks. They not selling dope. I'm not saying they perfect and people don't scam and people ain't doing things. Of course they is, but I'm saying it's a world full of things that you could do. But we have to reprogram what we view as successful, what we view as real, and what we view as winning. And when you start seeing the way that we was going about it as lame and you blindly following, the math gonna stop mathing. And when the math stop mathing, you gotta change because it gotta add up. Come on, man. It has to add up. Identity changed everything for me. The things I used to identify as real started to look lame. That's just the reality of it. So the next question is, what actually causes someone to see themselves differently? What causes you to look in the mirror and be like, I don't want to be this person no more. Or this ain't me. Or this ain't who I thought I was. You have to grow. It's a choice though, because you're going to get older physically, but you have to change mentally. And a lot of us ain't doing that. So the question is, what actually causes someone to see themselves differently? I'm going to say experiences, consequences, God, and I'm going to also say seeing things acquired, manifested, produced in a different way. Because I'm going to tell you, I ain't start seeing niggas getting money a different type of way, like until I was grown. So as a kid, when I had the most impressionable mind, when I was looking out the window and I seen niggas bolted up on feet and buying the J's and they was trapping, could only see myself through that lens because that's what I wanted, because I was a young male and men want to be men. You want to be valued, you want to be valuable, you want to provide, you want to produce, you want to protect, but you need resources to do that. So I had to be influenced by that environment in a different way, as well as changing how the environment influenced me in the beginning. Because then when identity shift, what happens to the decisions? When your identity shifts, what happens to the decision making? Your decision making has to change after that. Like it got to. Because if I ain't identifying myself as no drug dealer no more, then why the fuck would I sell drugs? Now, let me not gloss over, because I think this is where the disconnect come from when, say, for example, a nigga get out of jail. He just did 5. He just did 3. He just did 2. But he got a felony. He got 5 to 7 years before he could actually start getting into this world and getting a trade for real. Even though you could get into construction and shit. But I think we have to reprogram our mind what manhood is and the duty that come with it. Because identity, which this episode is about, identity determines trajectory. We have to acknowledge and accept, bruh, to be a fucking man is hard. You got to get your ass up every day and subscribe to the journey. You got to subscribe to the journey. And I don't think we really acknowledging or accepting what it takes to be a man. That's why, cultures do a lot of things differently. They do. But one thing you can't discredit, they take their ass to work, bro, every fucking day. And if we gonna keep it a $1,000, black women getting busy. They taking their ass to, even though I don't like the masculine energy that they adopt, but I guess they have to, because they getting their ass up every day going to work, and they adopted the identity and they getting active. They getting busy, bro. They going to work, bro. You have to be willing to work hard. You can't have no stability if you don't get your ass up and work every day. And I'm to this point, I'm 39 years old. Guess what? I had my CDLs for 7 years now. Guess what I did? Some bullshit. Start fucking with the bags. Ran the bags up, start fucking with the bags. I should be way more stable. I got a $100,000 career. I've been making paper. But my mindset wasn't changing yet. It took a minute though. And this is what I'm saying. This is why I have to tell, this is why I'm having this podcast. And this is why I'm talking this shit, because I know what it feel like to catch the case, to want to change, to try to change, to go back to trapping, to make mistakes, the urgency. I'm out here getting fired from jobs because I can't, because I'm so used to trapping around, having licks call the phone, putting me under this clock that I don't even like sitting still too long. I'm speeding everywhere I go. I ain't got no chill. I'm self-sabotaging in good situations because I ain't got no self-control because I'm so used to moving so fucking fast. Come on, man. We got to stop self-sabotaging and we got to stop working against ourselves, being our own worst enemy, bro. This shit take hard work, but get your ass up every day. I remember when I got out the joint, I was at my most depressed moment. I'm gonna tell you when it was. You know how you go to the halfway house and shit? They like, you gotta get a job. I go to the job. This was like before I had my CDLs, probably like my daughter was 20, I was 25. I didn't get my CDLs till I was 30. So it's like when I was 25, because I trapped. I did trap. I ain't even gonna perk. I ain't go straight into the trucking. When I got out, I tried it. Let me tell you, my cousin, he was like, I had a little zipper soft. My cousin this was when the pup was like, this was like 2010. The pup was going crazy. My cousin said, give me 200. He gave me 20 tenths. I handed them bitches out, punching. But in the back of my mind, my daughter, she kind of changed me. So I was over it. Then getting locked up, I'm like, I ain't never trying to do this shit again. Like, that ain't me. Like, if these niggas, that's them, that ain't me, bro. Getting caught, getting locked up, doing push-ups and shit, dips. Like, I could just do that outside. Like, what is we talking about? I don't want nothing that bad to just put myself in those situations. So we got to find a little bit of stability. But going from trapping and getting those racks that I was getting and then trying to get out and then making $850, because they tried to give me $850 the hour. I was working this little job in Camp Washington. They had me like shaving like auto parts and shit. That was $850 an hour, bro. I was pinging off the boy. Come on, man. Racks. What are we talking about? You know how demoralizing and humbling it is to... And that's that you gotta go through based on when you start with a certain mindset and you start and you make these choices and you trying to, and that's why a lot of brothers, a lot of niggas, a lot of young YNs, a lot of OGs, a lot of niggas who get trapped in this cycle, they can't get out because when they want to change, not only it's hard for them to subscribe to the work and then what it takes to get up every day to take your ass to work, but the process is so demoralizing. And it's too humbling, and people and niggas want to. We obsessed and we love that aura, that energy to feel like that nigga. We want to feel like that nigga. That's the reality. We want to feel like that nigga, and it's really for the bitches. We want the cheeks, so we obsessed with the feeling for ourselves, just like how females like they want to be bad because they say like. And now that I think about it, we do it for the opposite sex, but we also do it for ourselves because shorties want to be bad. They want to attract niggas just like we want to get money. We want to attract shorties, but they also like to feel bad, just like we like to feel like we that nigga. And when you know you that nigga, and when you know you bad, you gotta prove it to yourself. You gotta prove it to yourself. So a nigga gonna run them racks up, but it's a fucking asterisk by that shit. And that's when we gotta wise up. And we gotta stop doing it so late. We gotta teach our sons, bruh. Take your ass to school. Get your ass a job. Get your ass a trade, bro. This world was built off this shit. It's too much money out here. Build. Be a builder. And guess what? This the kicker. You ain't gotta change who you are to do it. You can still buy the Benz. You can still buy the house. You can still buy the chain. You can still be a real nigga. You could be loyal. Matter of fact, you could be more real and more loyal because you ain't put in your situations where you gotta betray a nigga, where you gotta scam on a nigga, when you gotta tell on a nigga. Come on, man. When you make better choices, you put yourself in less situations where you gotta be a fuck nigga and do fuck boy shit. It's integrity. It's masculine energy you building now. Come on, man. What is we talking about? Real nigga. You wanna be a real nigga? Be one. But don't self-sabotage. We gotta make better choices and not crash ourselves out. We crashing ourselves out, bro. At this point, we get them all the tools that they need to destroy ourselves and then take us off the board. The only thing that should be slowing niggas down right now is an influx and bitches strapping up because you got all these kids because you can't because you getting too much money because you got to like. At that point, the only motherfucker that could get us is the girl. Because if you ain't out here trapping, robbing, stealing, you taking your ass to work every day. Now, granted, you get 5 baby mamas and you on child support for 5 kids. That's gonna make you depressed too. So we gotta be identity. We gotta have identity, and we need stability because unstable identity creates unstable decisions. Unstable identity create unstable decisions, and we gotta ask ourselves, why do some decisions feel automatic even when we know better? Why do certain decisions feel automatic even when we know better? We be the problem. We have to change. It's the identity. But this the thing. So this and this is where the pod come in, because I'm just taking y'all on a journey. I'm just taking y'all on a journey, telling y'all the story of just how my life happened. But we got to get to the solution, bro, because we can't point the fingers, bro, because my goal is to build y'all, bro, and to build myself up, build my son up. So the question is, if identity creates decisions, what rebuilds the identity? We have to rebuild our identity. But I'm going to say this. To rebuild your identity, you got to understand what you is first. Even though you a boy, you start as a boy, but you really a man, because you a boy the shortest times of your life. So in order for us to rebuild our identity, we got to stop putting real nigga, trapper. We got to stop identifying as these things, bro, and identify as men first. And this is where the mothers come in, because they the ones that's really raising us. And we way too, we reacting way too emotional in this world. And we got to stop reacting with emotion and start moving with that, moving with direction. And one of the books that I published, Queens Raise Kings, it's a book to give guidelines for mothers to raise their sons so they could be the men that they would want. And I'm going to talk more about that in other episodes. And I'm going to drop a how-to series on every chapter and break that shit down for the women. You feel me? Like, that's coming. Because this is important to me, because guess what? I was raised by a single mother who had me at 15 years old. And I feel like I could have been a greater person, a greater man, because I always had the mind, but I didn't have the right structure, the teachers and environment to shape me and mold me, bro. And then the crazy thing is, it's a jail full of black men who didn't have structure and guidance and somebody who put them on a path, bro. And it's a world full of young men, YMs right now, gonna be dead or in jail because they ain't got no structure, they ain't got no path. And the people that's supposed to teach them can't teach them because they don't have no direction. They don't even know. So I got Queens Raise Kings. That's for the mothers. I ain't saying it's the law, but it's just something. It's just something. Teach y'all sons something. Men. And I don't even talk to the men. It's a reason, because I feel like a man who want to know, he gonna find it. I got to this point with this perspective, this pod, these thoughts. These is my own thoughts. I wrote this shit. I got this book, The Queens Raise Kings. I wrote that 12 years ago. I was 28 when I wrote it. I'm 39 and I'm just now putting it out. This is a part of who I am. The thoughts couldn't escape me if I wanted it to. But back to what I was saying, what rebuilds identity? And I'm gonna start by saying self-awareness, accountability. And take your ass to fucking work, bruh. Go to work, nigga. Subscribe to what it's gonna take. Ain't no days off. You gotta be a man. You gotta get busy. You gotta get active. For the rest of your life, you gotta subscribe to the fact that you got to get your ass up and take your ass to work for the rest of your fucking life. You see billionaires still going to work. Come on, man. How we working less than a motherfucker who got 1,000 times more money, 50 million times more money? Come on, man. As a man, God created you. That's a part of your identity. That's why you got muscles. You ain't got muscles to just look good. You got muscles so you could work hard. Come on. Structure rebuilds identity. We got to stop self-sabotaging. We got to stop self-destructing. And what's crazy is we don't have to change who we are. Like, we could still have the same culture and same things that we come from. We could still have the barbecues. We could still put that drip on. We could still party and turn up. We could still do whatever we want to do. Shit, weed legal. You can still smoke weed. That shit legal. But our numbers, like everybody on the world, we all doing the same thing. White folks, black folks, Indian folks, Chinese folks, Asian folks, motherfuckers is taking their ass to work, taking care of their family, getting old, getting money, spending it. We all doing the same thing. It just seemed like us in America, in our community, we warped in the mind where we feel like the only way to do all these things is to sell drugs, steal, and finesse and scam. We the problem. We the fucking problem. And the reason that I have to say this shit, and I'm turning up, the reason I gotta say this shit and turn up is because this the only language that niggas understand, which is cool. And then the niggas who saying it, the people who saying it, the motherfuckers who saying it, they don't even identify with the culture. They putting these suits on, they getting this money, they trying to be politically correct. I don't want to be politically correct. I just want to be me. I'm gonna put that drip on, I'm gonna take care of my kids, I'm gonna slap cheeks, but what I ain't gonna do is take my ass to jail. What I ain't gonna do is steal and rob and kill somebody that look like me. I'm not doing that. Now, if I have to defend myself, then so be it. But I'm not waking up like I'm trying to prove some shit, bro. Fuck for what? Only thing I'm trying to prove is I could be a better father than my father was to me. I want to be a better brother, son, friend, companion, all that. But you have to look in the mirror and be accountable, man. And that's where this shit got to start. And that's why I created this pod, because I ain't no different than none of y'all. My mama had me at 15. I done been shot, been to prison. I done fucked up hella bags. I ain't never been no flunky, but I done played my role. I done followed niggas blindly that was lames because I didn't know no better. I ain't gonna say that. And maybe I have been a crash out at a time or two in my younger years. I could say that. I could probably say that. Motherfucker put the cables on me, but I was always smart enough to think myself out of a situation. But I ain't understand working hard till I'm just now subscribing to the fact that a nigga got to get up for the rest of his life and get busy because that's what men do, for one. For two, I'm late to the party. It took me all this time to figure it out. Man. But that's what this pod is gonna be about. And it's about the mindset. This pod is about mindset, energy, and relatability and relevance. And hopefully my stories, my perspective, and I ain't necessarily gonna go like I probably won't get into details and stories because then I will start alienating people because they gonna be watching it and they gonna know that I'm talking about them. And like I ain't really it wouldn't be to judge them, it would be using it as a reflection on the mistakes that was made, but everybody don't have a good relationship with their losses, their mistakes, and their bad choices. I'm cool with, so I could always use mine, but it's certain things that I probably wouldn't, like certain stories that I wouldn't tell just cause everybody ain't there yet. But we gotta change our mindsets and we gotta start moving with more direction and start moving with emotion. And to the young men, you can't be listen to your mama, but don't follow your mama. Because they don't move based off the same thing as a man's supposed to move on. That's why they girls, man. And I think women gotta understand that too when they dealing with their sons. Y'all girls. And I think this is another issue. Subconsciously they understand that. That's why they allow their sons to do and be in the streets so young and do certain things because they think that's we programmed to think that that's masculine energy. But it's teaching us the wrong shit. And in a way it is masculine energy, but it's rare that we cultivate the right tools to be successful and thrive in the world without having to worry about your son getting killed and he seen him on the news, going to jail. Like we gotta eliminate that shit. That shit is trauma. For your mama to have to pray for you every night because you outside, that's trauma. The hell you think these white folks is praying that they kids don't get killed every night? You think come on, man, they not. We are fried in the head. Super fried, man. But that's enough of that, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and plug myself. Swag Master Manual, a guide for young men building confidence, character, and direction. Marco James H. This for the young men. It ain't the law. It's just my perspective on tools and a little bit of game and a little bit of mindset for young men. It's on Amazon Books, Amazon.com. The Swag Master Manual. Like we gotta gain our identity because once identity stabilizes, your trajectory changing your life. And I'm blessed and I gotta thank my mama. I have to, because I will say I don't think that if she didn't move me to Albuquerque when I was 14 years old, I was already on the path. I was on and guess what? I still came back. I got my GED and came right back in a year or two and went straight to outside. But that seed, that experience planted it planted the right seed. Now I ain't follow her because I wanted to be my own person. But the seed was planted and it grew. And here I am. So my trajectory changed for sure because I should be a statistic. Y'all know the statistics, single black mother. My mama had me at 15 years old. Come on, man. My story was written well before. And guess what? I've been rewriting it and I'm still rewriting it. And to the mothers, like, try to put your kids and your sons in situations and environments where they have to be held accountable and they have men and they have people around that's going to demand more out of them. Demand more out of them. We built to accept the challenge. Y'all don't like challenges. Y'all don't like the resistance. Y'all girls, okay, that's fine. Your son needed to form. That shape him. Trajectory. Because once your trajectory change, you break curses. You're on a path of breaking curses. Yo, once you change what and how you identify yourself, your behavior change. Once your behavior change, your choices change. Once your choices change, your trajectory change. Once your trajectory change, you breaking fucking curses. Come on, man. Is that not why we here? This is the Opinionaire SHOWPOD, man. Opinions shaped by perspective. Perspective shaped by experience, man. I'm out of here for the day, man. But that's the vibrations. I get passionate. Till next time, though. Peace out.